Yeah.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to start in about 5 minutes. I'm going to be muting everybody during the meeting. We will have time for questions at the end where you'll be able to unmute your mic. If you think of a question in the meantime, feel free to just type it in chat. If you are watching live on YouTube, feel free to type out your questions. And if you're watching afterwards, when this is on YouTube, post it. You can feel free to ask your questions via email or you can call us. Thank you.
Dave, I do have a question. We're going on the Italy trip, and you said that the group will possibly get together 1 or 2 times throughout the summer. Has anything been arranged at this point, or do you know if it's June, July, when you plan on doing that?
It'll probably be quite a bit closer to departure. I'll have meetings, likely more than one. It's really going to it just be dependent on what I have going on, and Al, who lives up in the villages, will likely be he'll be escorting the trip, so he'll be working around his schedule. The active retirees in the villages, I got to pin them down.
Thank you.
I must have shut it off. I'm using this app. Well, there's us. Oh, man. Hi, David.
Hey there, Al. Let's see, it's almost time now. Let me get you pinned up there. Perfect. Give 1 more minute for everybody to come into the meeting.
David, if you're speaking, we don't hear you.
I had my mic muted. Thank you. Well, good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Today, we're going to be talking about our Britain and Ireland hub and spoke trip, which we've had planned for a while, and a few people are already signed up on, but a lot of people had questions about. So we are going to have this meeting. This is going to be a very exciting trip, and there's a lot of things people aren't sure of or don't know they're going to have questions about. So we've been having these information meetings about our trips to help with all of that. So if you are in the Google Meet, you'll be able to ask questions at the end. If you think of questions during the meeting, you can type them in. If you're on a computer, there's a little chat bubble in the bottom right. If you're on a mobile device, you would tap the 3 buttons and there's an in-call chat option for typing out questions. If you are watching live on YouTube, you can just type your questions. And if you're watching on YouTube after the presentation, you can just email us your questions or call us. Because I'm running the tech side of things, I've asked Al to step in. He is an escort for most of my trips. He's retired. He doesn't actually work for us. He works as this volunteer escort for these trips because he has very, very, very extensive travel experience and he likes to travel. So he's an amazing asset and he knows more things than most people will, or he's forgotten more things than most people will ever know about international travel. So he's going to go through the details as I run the slideshow and the stream. So thank you very much, Al, and I'll let you have it.
Great. Thank you very much, David. As David said, my name is Al. I don't work for the travel club. I volunteer. Have quite a bit of experience. I have hosted and escorted for major cruise lines, many international tour companies. I'm retired. I live in the Villages in Florida. Have quite a bit of experience in travel. If you have not been with me before, I have been to 148 countries, and I've escorted trips for people just exactly like that are in this meeting today to more than 100 countries, and have escorted many trips in this last year, really all over the world. Britain is one of my favorite destinations personally. I'm what is considered an Anglophile and like Britain and Ireland very much. I'm not a huge fan of the motor coach tour programs in Britain. I think the combination of 1 and 2 night stays is too fast, even though Britain is relatively small compared to the United States, for example. It's still too fast to do 1 and 2 night stays, which is one of the things I really like about this itinerary. Have probably done in my life 25 trips to Britain. I've been to every single place that this trip does, and it's being done in an interesting way. So I'm going to help in terms of making sure that you understand the experience of the trip and how the trip works. So as David said, this trip is departing September 21st to October 5. This is a good time to be in Britain. It's a little bit slower. It's not slow, but a little bit slower. And the reason is because kids have gone back to school. Britain is the top international destination for American school children and college students. And so June, July, and August can be exceptionally busy in Britain with students. This is not that because they're back in school, and I like it. The weather is very mild in September, and so it's not, Britain is cool all year long. Even in the summer. While it can get hot, it generally is cool. And so in this time period, you're looking at 50s, 60s in general. So we'll go through this itinerary. Now, the first thing to tell you is, if you could go back one slide for us, David. The name is unusual. This is a name that a lot of people like me talk about. And I like very much. It's called Hub and Spoke. Hub and Spoke is like a wheel of an old-fashioned wagon, where the heart and strength of the wheel is in the middle, and then it has spokes out. That's what this trip does. Now, you can do hub and spoke itineraries that stay 7 and 10 nights in a location. This itinerary does the 4 countries that you visit, 3 in the British Isles and Ireland. And in all of those locations, it stays 3 nights. Now, the reason that is important is definitely the experience of one night. If you take a motor coach tour with Trafalgar, Globus Gateway, etc., if you have a one-night stay, that's always a flashing light to you. It might be necessary, but you should always pay attention to it, because generally you're arriving at the hotel between 4 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're leaving between 8 and 9 o'clock the next morning. So I'm not a huge fan of the one-night stays. 2-night stays are better, but often can still be the feeling of a little bit rushed because you have one full day in the destination you're visiting. 3 nights is kind of a magic bullet, because it gives you 2 full days in the destination, and it gives you a combination of included sightseeing and a free day. And the reason that's important is because lots of people have lots of different interests of what they want to do in the destination that they visit, and this doesn't demand you do everything that the tour plans for. And so I think the choice makes it really good. So that's what a hub and spoke tour is. And before we move on, your hub is going to be in England, 3 nights in London, in Scotland, 3 nights in Edinburgh. It's going to cross to Northern Ireland to Belfast, and then to Dublin for 3 nights. It's going to cross back into by ferry to Wales, and 3 nights in Cardiff in Wales, and then back to London. It begins with 1 night in London and finishes with 3 nights in London. So it's a very nice, leisurely paced itinerary of the British Isles, hub and spoke. Okay, David, next. Very good value on the trip. 15 days. This is basically turnkey. It includes virtually everything that you need in the itinerary. It will provide your arrival transfers when you arrive in London, regardless of what the travel club does not. And by the way, I agree with it. Don't let someone else handle your airfare, especially international, because it's all fine until it's no longer fine. And if there is a mechanical, or if there's a misconnection, et cetera, and so on, the airline's first answer to you is going to be, well, you've got to go back to the source of your air ticketing. And you don't want to be going back to Expedia or AAA or the Happening Travel Club to deal with problems that you have while you're traveling on your air. That's the number one reason. Also, you're not going to get what you want. I don't even believe in using airline or air seats from a cruise line, because at the end of the day, there are so many choices of carriers, boarding on flights in the order that you board, of course, different categories of classes, baggage, incentives, all kinds of things. The airlines have figured out how to maximize their revenue. And the only way to manage the airline managing you is you be directly in charge of what you're doing on the air. So broadly, not only just this trip, I never recommend anyone handle your air except you, because you're getting exactly what you want first. And then second, if something happens in misconnection or whatever, mechanical, whatever it might be, the airline is directly responding to you as client, as opposed to Expedia being their client or AAA being their client. And you shouldn't allow that. So on your arrival, transfers are included. Regardless of what time you arrive, 24 hours a day, the transfers are included on the arrival in London and the departure in London. And all you're going to do is tell the travel club, here's my flight schedule, and they're going to arrange private transfers for you from the airports. They're not shared, they're not shuttles, etc. They're private transfers. And the other thing that's important in this is it's very inclusive. First class hotels, your sightseeing, of course, it's escorted from start to finish, meals, etc. And David's going to run through some of these features. Of course, it is escorted start to finish with you for the trip. First-class hotel accommodations in the locations. You begin at Heathrow on the first night. Transfers are included in Heathrow. By the way, if you fly into Gatwick, it's no problem to do that. The travel club arranges the transfer from Gatwick. I believe it's $39 or $49 or something round trip. And so your Gatwick transfers are included, but there's a charge for that. If you come into Heathrow, they're included completely free. You stay the first night in London at Heathrow. It's just basically to acclimate you, overcome jet lag, and then you begin the trip. And so first-class hotels in Edinburgh in Scotland for 3 nights, cross the channel to Dublin in Ireland for 3 nights, cross back into Wales for 3 nights in Cardiff, and then 3 nights in London. So first-class hotels. Next, comprehensive sightseeing. Your sightseeing is a combination of your travel between London and Edinburgh, multiple stops and sightseeing, and that's true through the entire trip. So your travel between London and Edinburgh, Glasgow, Belfast after the ferry crossing to Dublin, then Dublin to Snowdonia in Wales to Cardiff, and then Cardiff via Stonehenge and Windsor to see the famous castle to London. And then when you're in each of the location cities, your 3-night stay is a combination of a day sightseeing in the capital. Basically, these are the capitals of the 4 countries or major cities. And then you have a free day at leisure. And suggestions will be made of other kinds of things. I'll talk about that when we get to the itinerary. But it includes comprehensive sightseeing. Next. Most or many of the meals are included. All of the breakfast and some of the dinners are included in the itinerary. English breakfast is a little more than what we see in traditional American hotels. Hamptons, etc., are a bit more limited. The meals for breakfast in the UK are more expansive, and so many meals are included. Next. All of your transportation is included on the arrivals, as I said, in London, and arrival and departure. It's private transfer, and then it's group transportation after that. So your transportation is included. Next. Now, this gives you a little picture of the map. I'll give you a moment to orient yourself. In the bottom right-hand corner where you see the red pin, that is for London. You'll fly into London, presumably from definitely a North American destination, but probably the United States. You come into London, you will fly into Heathrow or Gatwick. You'll stay 1 night in London. Then your travel is to Edinburgh. So you travel north to Edinburgh. It's a 5 to 6 hour journey, longer with some stops. Principal highlights this day, of course, are York that you see. It's about halfway between Edinburgh and London, and the York Minster, the famous stalls. You're going to cross and see Hadrian's Wall, very famous, built by the Romans in the 1st century. And you travel north to Edinburgh. Now, Edinburgh is not the biggest city. Glasgow is. It's not in the Highlands. But if you're going to stay one place in Scotland, Edinburgh is the place to do it. Quite spectacular, the Royal Palace. The Windsor Home Palace is in Edinburgh. High Street, King Street are quite beautiful. The Edinburgh castle at the top of the cliff is quite scenic. Edinburgh is quintessentially Scottish. The best example. Glasgow is more of being like Cleveland, and we love Cleveland, but it's not where we go to see. So Edinburgh is a great place in the itinerary. Then you continue from, as you see on the map, from Edinburgh going via Glasgow. We'll do some things there, down into the northwest corner where we're going to take a ferry, and it's approximately a 3-hour ride. Can be a little faster, can be a little slower, depending on which the final ferry is. And you're going to cross the straits. You're crossing from Scotland to Northern Ireland, not Ireland. You're crossing into Northern Ireland. You'll have a visit and sightseeing in Belfast. Very interesting for all of us of a certain age, and all of us, with the exception of David, are of that certain age. Belfast has negative connotations, but that is an old-fashioned notion. That is 30 and 40 years ago. Northern Ireland is extremely safe. It is quite beautiful. They live harmoniously with Ireland and the British Isles of UK. Lovely to visit in Belfast. Then you continue south, crossing the border into Ireland itself, and you go to Dublin. And you're there in Dublin for 3 days. Lots of things to see and do. I am a Guinness beer drinker. I like Black Guinness. They have a Guinness beer at the Guinness Center in Dublin that is like molasses. It's black molasses, and it's a beer, and it's absolutely fabulous. And you can bet going to the Guinness Center and sightseeing in Dublin. Ireland, very different. Dublin, very different than Edinburgh. Scotland, everybody thinks, oh, well, they have bagpipes, so they're all the same. No, that's absolutely not true. Scotland's culture is completely different than Irish culture. A big portion of that is the difference in religions that created cultural distinction between Scotland and Ireland. So we're 3 days there. Then we go down to the ferry port to cross to Wales. And Wales, of the 4 countries that we're visiting, is the least known and the least visited. And that is only because tours travel so fast, they don't have time to do much in Wales. Normally, you see a one-night stay in the northern coast of Wales. It's not enough. So what happens here is you'll cross on the ferry, shorter ferry than the one that travels from Scotland to Belfast. You'll come in to the coast on the west coast of Wales. Very scenic, because the highest mountains in the British Isles are here, especially Snowdonia, very famous. A lovely television show that's getting ready to come back, I think, for its 4th season. I love it. On Wrexham, the soccer, the American Ryan Reynolds ownership of the Welcome to Wrexham and the soccer team, that is right here in this area when you come off of the ferry in Wales. We'll travel south to Cardiff. Cardiff is very interesting in its language is the most distinct. The Welsh have protected their language. Of all of the British Isles, they have protected their traditional language the most. And so everything is bilingual, like you're in Quebec for French and English. It's the same in Wales. While it is part of the British Isles in the kingdom, Welsh is the official language. English is the second language. Makes it very, very interesting. Also, in proximity to Cardiff, you have the ability to go to Bath, right across the border in England. It is the Roman city of the UK, 2,000 years old. The Roman remains are there, the Roman baths. This was the outpost control of the Roman Empire in 1 century BC and 1 century AD. Quite interesting. Then from Cardiff, traveling across the southeast. And the big highlights of traveling across the southeast is what is from Bath, traditionally the Cotswolds. Although we're in the southern end of the Cotswolds, it's very picturesque. The pasture lands of Britain are in this region. And the 2 big highlights of this day are Stonehenge, to see the famous monument, and Windsor, and the little village of Windsor where the Windsor Castle is. And the village of Windsor, which has a market street, is completely built and dedicated for the castle and the royal family. So it's interesting to see a stop there and then continuing to London. And then we have 3 nights in London. So that's how the itinerary works as we see on this map. Next. So, as I said, on day 1, overnight flight, it doesn't make any difference if you fly into Heathrow or to Gatwick. Really, it's based on what you find is a better deal for air. Orlando has nonstop. If you are in Central Florida, Tampa has nonstop. South Florida has nonstop. So there's very good connections to London. Heathrow is a little easier, but Gatwick works too. It's National Airport and Dulles Airport. And that's essentially what happens.
Yeah, or locally too, is the Orlando versus Sanford airports. It's probably a better comparison. Most of your flights are going to go into Heathrow. It's very rare you're going to get one into Gatwick, but some may.
Yeah, that's right, depending on the carrier. Continuing on to day 3. Today is traveling London via Nottingham. Of course, we know the Robin Hood lore. York is a highlight today. The picture that you see in the upper right is the York Minster, very famous cathedral, church. Cathedral in Britain, in York. York is beautiful because of its lanes, its shopping, quite interesting. And then to Edinburgh. Next day, we begin our 3-night stay in Edinburgh. On day 4, comprehensive sightseeing. Now you are seeing there the castle on the upper right picture is on a high cliff. This is at about 700 feet. Above Highcliffe. This is where the famous military tattoo, the Edinburgh military tattoo, is held. Quite beautiful. It is quintessentially Scottish. I am Scot. My family is from Ayr. The first time I went to Ayr 30 years ago with my parents, I was disappointed in my Scottish roots in Ayr versus Edinburgh. Edinburgh is beautiful and a wonderful place to sightsee and visit. Royal Mile is here from where you see the castle there. The Royal Mile goes directly to the palace. Where when Queen Elizabeth was alive, that's where she would summer in the palace in Edinburgh. Very, very famous. On day 5, we have a day at leisure, and you have a number of option ability, and the escort helps you with those choices. You're not locked into any one thing. You can do the Highlands if you would like. It's quite beautiful. The Lake District is very beautiful. You can even get as far as going to see Loch Ness. There's no dinosaur in the lake. I always say that. You're going to see Loch Ness if you're interested in that because of the lore of Loch Ness. Although I think that there are better things to do on your leisure day in the Highlands, but quite beautiful because of the lakes. And the other thing that is very popular for Floridians is golf. And to go to into the Highlands and go to St. Andrews is also a fun experience, but a day at leisure for you to do exactly what you want in Scotland. Now, this is unusual because a lot of people look at motor coach tours that go to the British Isles in Europe, and it's go, 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 go the entire 2 weeks. That is not this function. This is a combination of the sightseeing that you want to do and then the flexibility of the extra free time on the things that you want to do that were not chosen for you. So I like that very much. Then on to day 6. This is a fun day. I like the ferries. I like the ferries generally in Europe, and on many, many ferries, Baltic, Western Mediterranean, Greek Isles, etc. I like the ferries in the UK. They're fast, they're efficient, they're comfortable, they're better than virtually anything we have in the United States. Just like their trains are better, their ferries are better. And the ferries are principally vehicle ferries. So vehicles come aboard. They're very large. They generally carry 500 to 1,200 passengers. They'll have a cafe. They'll have a bar. They're very comfortable. And today's travel is traveling via Glasgow. And we'll do the ferry crossing on Stena, which is one of the 3 or 4. P&O is another big one. P&O is Princess Cruise Lines, by the way. That's P&O involvement, Princess and Orient Lines. And you're going to cross to Northern Ireland. And when you come off of the ferry, you'll travel via Belfast and sightseeing in Belfast. And then in the late afternoon, arrival in Dublin, and you'll be in Dublin for 3 nights. So again, we've had a big travel day traveling from Edinburgh to Dublin, but we get 3 nights as the benefit of that travel experience. Day 7 then is dedicated to the comprehensive sightseeing in Dublin. Now again, very different than Scotland, and will be very different than Cardiff. Dublin is the most beer-intensive destination of the trip. The Irish love their beer and they love their whiskey, and it makes for a fun visit because the pubs are so lively. And for American tourists of our age, it's fun to go and experience. Dublin's a beautiful city. It's very walkable, and so in addition to the sightseeing, it is just so comfortable. The Irish city, and it's by far and away the largest city, so much culture there, and so many things to do, and a huge number of pubs, which makes for great food and great beverage and comprehensive sightseeing on day 7. Then on day 8, another day at leisure, and the 2 big recommendations of sightseeing in Dublin is to go west or go south. If you go south, you can go to Waterford, the famous village that produces the really world-class crystal. There's China and that you can do. In the south, you can visit where the Titanic docked as its last docking location before the transatlantic crossing and the Titanic disaster. That is one option that you might want to do. You might want to stay in Dublin because there's very specific kinds of things that you might want to do in Dublin. And then the third choice is going into the interior. There are many castles, both in terms of hotels and ruins. And one of the most famous in ruin is the Blarney Castle. And you can do that in the interior. You can have lunch in a castle. There's many interesting things to do in the interior based as a day trip from Dublin. So lots of choices here also on day 8. So included sightseeing, day at leisure, with giving you choices of things that you would want to do. And the entire group does not have to do it, which is really nice. Next, on day 9 is another travel day. And you're going to travel not too far to board Stena or P&O. Those are the 2 big choices, going to the west coast of Wales. And it's going to cross to Holyhead. People pronounce it Holyhead. It can be pronounced that way. I think the more preferred is Holyhead. And lovely, crossing into Wales, you will know immediately when you come off that ferry that you're in a different place than Ireland or Scotland. Welsh culture, Welsh language, which I've already talked to you about, is very, very different. Very pretty in western Wales because it is a very scenic day. Mostly villages. In this entire travel day from Holyhead to Cardiff, you're not going to go to a single large city. They're all villages. The road is very rural for most of this day. That's why that picture of the road is included. It is a very scenic sightseeing day. One of the highlights is to see Snowdonia. And Snowdonia is for those of you that are Canadian Rockies or Rocky Mountains, Colorado or Alaska, Snowdonia is just a little tiny mountain compared to it. But in Britain, it is among the most spectacular, and it's quite beautiful. And for Britain, it's their Alp. I didn't say Alps. I said they're Alp, and that's what Snowdonia is. But it's fun, national park, and the Welsh country roads to Cardiff. We check in Cardiff, the capital of Wales, and we'll have 3 nights there. On day 10, again, you're starting to fall into the routine of what we're doing, Cardiff sightseeing. Cardiff is an interesting city, not because it's spectacularly beautiful. It isn't. It's a nice city. It's a clean city. It's a friendly city. It's not spectacularly beautiful. And compared to Dublin and compared to Edinburgh and compared to London, it will probably be your least favorite of the 4. Although you're going to like it, I should say well, that's the right word. Least favorite in that I liked it, but it wasn't London or Dublin or Edinburgh. But it's a nice experience because it rounds out the British Isles and Ireland. And that's why we're going. Opportunity to do this. On day 11 gives you unique opportunity to do Bath. And Bath is a long day trip from London. Most people do Bath as a day trip from London, but it is quite a long day trip because you have to go in both directions. Much, much better from Cardiff and Bath, and seeing the Roman baths, the lanes, the Georgian houses. If you have watched much of Bridgerton, they've done lots of their filming in Bath. It's quite beautiful, the Georgian architecture in Bath, and it's a wonderful experience in the day. And there's other things to do. Also, you might want to do more in Cardiff. You can do the southwest coast of Britain, but the top highlight for me is Bath. It is just quite outstanding.
I'm excited. My father's family is from Glamorgan, which is just southwest of Cardiff, so
Yeah.
I would love to go see that.
Yeah, nice. Then on day 12, we have another interesting sightseeing day. And this travels in the southern tips of the Cotswolds. The Cotswolds are villages. Famous villages in the Cotswold are called Upper Slaughter and Lower Slaughter. And about 700 live in one and 900 live on the other. And it's a little 2-lane road that connects them. And it's like traveling into a storybook. Quite beautiful in the Cotswolds. Quintessential English heritage, which is one of the things that I love most about this trip. A view of Stonehenge. This trip does not include the time in Stonehenge. It's only the view of Stonehenge in total. To spend any much more time in Stonehenge is not worthwhile, frankly, in my opinion. I've been to Stonehenge many times. The picture you're looking at right now is the view. You are not allowed in Stonehenge. If you go into the park proper, you are you are relatively far away from the archaeological site. You're not allowed in, and most Americans, I don't think, understand. You're not visiting Stonehenge. You're not going into Stonehenge. You're looking at the archaeological site of Stonehenge. And that doesn't really require a lot of time. This is about a 30-minute stop to see this. Then the other major highlight of the day is, of course, as you see there in the upper right, Windsor Castle. And Windsor Castle is quite beautiful, much more interesting than the Kensington Palace, for example, in London. Windsor is the home of the royal family, and the castle is beautiful, and it's exactly what you think from medieval times a British royal palace castle would look like, and it looks like that with the ramparts and the moat and the village of Windsor right outside the gates. It's quite lovely to Windsor. And then we continue to London, and in London you check in for a 3-night stay. Next day, on day 13, you have comprehensive sightseeing in London. There is so much to do and see in London. I'm getting ready to go again next in August. I'm escorting for the travel club to Scandinavia, to the Arctic Circle by trains. And it has a pre-tour in London that I'm going to do for the guest on the trip. And I love London. The sites are incredible. British Museum is outstanding, one of the best in the world. Of course, Westminster, if you haven't been to London, is outstanding. The brass rubbings are just fun to do at Westminster. To see St. Paul, which is a rival of St. Peter in Rome, of course, because Britain, when they created the Church of England, they wanted to rival the Catholics. And so it's the only church that rivals in near size to St. Peter, second largest in the world. Quite interesting to see. And one of the things that I really love in London that you can plan on is to go to the West End. And the West End is Broadway, New York's Broadway, on a Target budget. And you can see Broadway musicals both created in London or vice versa. There are American shows that are playing in London, and they're about 70 cents on the dollar compared to what you can do in Broadway in New York, which I love very much. Then on day 14, you have a day at leisure. No visit, if you have not been to London, no visit to London is, it would be a miss not to do a high tea. And people are always surprised. I have done the Ritz high tea, which is generally considered among the best in the entire world, at the Ritz Hotel. Same company as the Ritz in Paris, by the way. But the Ritz Hotel in London does an outstanding high tea. There are several other hotels that do it. But one of the real secret surprises is go to Harrods for high tea. They do a complete high tea at the department store Harrods, which is outstanding. There is another very famous department store in London called Fortnum and Mason's, and they do an outstanding high tea. And it's just a quintessential English experience to go to high tea with the cucumber sandwiches and the pastries, etc. and so on. It's a lot of fun. Lots of choice here in London. I don't recommend leaving the capital. There's so much to see and do. Your day at leisure, as opposed to like what you might do in Dublin or what you might do in Edinburgh. London just has so much stuff to do that you probably want to stay in the capital. But of course, that's up to you. Thames River Cruise is also a great experience. Then on day 15, we come to an end, and you will be transferred to Heathrow Airport's included. And as I said, just like on your arrival, you're just providing the travel club the details of your flight arrangements, and they're doing a private transfer from the hotel to Heathrow Airport, and for a small charge to the Gatwick Airport. So either way is arrangeable for you. Next. There's an optional post tour, and I like this because you've gone a long way and you get a bit more for not a whole lot of money. This itinerary is 4 days and 3 nights. It's $499 with first-class hotels. And what the post tour does is essentially it crosses the channel. You come to Paris. You're there for 4 days and 3 nights. It includes Paris sightseeing on day 2, then a day at leisure in Paris for you to choose whatever. Most people that have not been to Paris, their day at leisure would probably go to Versailles. But there are so many things to do, of course, up in the Eiffel Tower. The restaurants, you're looking at the picture at the Eiffel Tower. That first level is a restaurant. And at the very top is the world famous Jules Verne restaurant. You can have those two choices in the Eiffel Tower. The right picture, of course, is the Louvre. And the Louvre, like the Vatican Museum now, really has to be reserved in advance. You should do that in advance if you want to go to the Louvre. But just like London, there is so much to see and do. 4 days will just evaporate just like that. But it's really a great option for you for that amount of money, including your transportation from London to Paris, your 3 days, your 4 days, 3 nights, your sightseeing, and then at the end of this, you have a private transfer to the Paris airport. And whichever airport you fly from, Orly or Charles de Gaulle, it makes no difference. Private transfers included. You're just advising the travel club. So it's a nice way to add to the itinerary because you're just so close. If you have not been to Paris, for sure, this is something you should look at. And Paris is a place that we all go to back again and again and again because we all love it so much. Next. That summarizes the itinerary. I was just talking. So it does all of the things that we talked about. Now, I don't believe you're still in the process of the rotating deposit. I think if you make a reservation now, it's a full payment. I'm not sure. You might be right on the cusp of it. There might be 1 or 2 months left of the
I think the
99.
full payment's next month.
Yeah, okay.
So
All right. So your reservation is
deposit,
$99.
yeah.
Right. And for the travel club, 100% of their bookings are done online. They don't do it over the phone. So all you have to do is click on that link. You can go to happening.travel and select Britain or Europe. I'm not sure which it is. And you'll see the trip, and the booking form is right attached to the landing page. It's very easy to do. And I also remind everybody, insurance is very, very worthwhile. Britain is an extremely safe destination for travel, but you don't know from the standpoint of your health or emergency situations that will come up, etc. And travel insurance covers all of that. The travel club, David, can help you. Others at the travel club can help you with insurance. You do your own insurance. I guess my message is make sure you have something, because 99 out of 100 Americans that think they would be okay because they have insurance do not have insurance. It is a misnomer. You do not have insurance when you travel internationally abroad. There's exceptions to that, but overwhelmingly not. So if you think you have insurance, make sure you investigate thoroughly. I do not recommend that you travel abroad, especially to Europe or really anywhere. I do not recommend leaving the United States without having insurance. And the two things that insurance covers you for is, of course, the payments that you're making on the trip. But quite frankly, the cost of the trip pales in comparison to an emergency medical experience. Not only emergency medical assistance in the destination you're at, but if you have to have emergency medical evacuation, the cost just can be dramatic. I've had guests in my journey, not to be negative in any way, but I've had people jaywalk in Paris and get hit by a car and have situations. I've had people miss cruises and have to try to find a way on the last port leaving Harwich in just an hour east of London, and its next stop is in Reykjavik, Iceland in 3 days, and trying to catch back up to the ship. There, stuff happens, things happen. And so I just recommend to you, make sure you look at insurance carefully. Next. All right. Well, that is a summary. And of course, I think David's going to open the floor. If any of you have any specific questions, I'm happy to help, or David's happy to help. And anything that might help you in terms of information that you've always wanted to ask. And by the way, it might not be for this trip. It might be something else that you're going to do. You're going to do a cruise in UK, and you might have questions about that. The sky's the limit. Any way that I can help, please. We're happy to do that.
Mr. Grau had asked if you're going to be the escort on this. That depends on how many people end up booked, and how many who goes on the trip. Like I said, I might want to go on this because my family is from Wales, and it's part of the reason why I very selfishly plan some of these trips to places I want to go, and it just depends on what time I have available to whether or not I can go. But yeah. And Tony, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Al, thank you. That was a great presentation.
Sure, thank you.
As we know, airlines are not that reliable lately. Can we do a pre-night and get the would we also have the transfers for a pre-night?
Yes. So what you do is through David or communicating to the travel club. My next international trip for Happening Travel Club as I said, is going to Scandinavia, and we're doing a train journey for 17 days of 4 Scandinavian countries, going all the way across the Arctic Circle in Norway. Many of those passengers are doing a pre-night. I personally think, by the way, that that's a really good idea. Not for the reason that was just discussed. Well, that's a good reason too. I personally think having the extra day to adjust to the jet lag and being ready on that first day is a really positive thing, because it gives you the ability, when you do that, to really already start to explore the destination that you're at. So it's very easy to do. David and the Travel Club do it all of the time. I escorted a group of 50 for the Travel Club to Peru this last year, to Machu Picchu and Peru. And a very large percentage of the guests came in early or stayed late or both. And it's very easy to do. And it really makes no difference at all. So all you do is you request how many days you would like to do it, whether it be 1 day, whatever it is. And when they do that, the transfers are all private. So it's very seamless for you. It's very easy to the hotel. And you stay same hotel.
Another option too, a lot of Americans don't get to Europe often. You could use this as an excuse to go somewhere else. The flight, say, to Barcelona is going to be a lot more iffy if you miss it than the flight from Barcelona to London. So you could fly into Barcelona for a couple of nights and then go to London, because if you miss a flight from Barcelona to London, it's only going to be a couple hours difference and you'll be fine. Or there's plenty of options we can help advise you on.
Not to get too complicated to David's note, but I know there's great travelers in this meeting. I already know that, but it's a really interesting note, because I'm already looking at what I want to do. I'm doing this Scandinavia trip in August, and I have been looking at multiple airlines where I might want to do Spain, or I might want to do Switzerland, although the trip starts in Copenhagen. And I'm finding that in the current environment, even in the current environment we are, there's virtually no difference in price in doing that than flying into Copenhagen and out of Oslo. So that's David's recommendation is a really good thing for you to look at. You may have always wanted to do Spain, and you want to fly into Spain and then continue on to London. Might be a really good option for you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, that was probably way more information than that.
So you're suggesting this travel before the actual tour rather than after the tour?
Yeah.
Because the international flights are the ones that are most likely to delay you the most if there's a cancellation. The transatlantic flights, rather. So either coming in a day or exploring Europe, because once you're in Europe, travel around Europe is super easy. Between the flights and the train system, it's very, very easy to pin things on to the start or the end or both, to see more of Europe. The Eurail passes are affordable and will get you everywhere without having to really think about it. So there's lots of options. And if you want advice on a way to do that, you can reach out to us and we can help you with pointers.
David's a really good asset to do that. If I can also make one other note, because I'm really passionate on this, and living in the villages, I talk to so many people, and we want the convenience. I just want to point out, one of the big issues that really we're getting to here was the note that I made in the beginning. Don't let someone handle your air. Just don't. I know we want the convenience of that, but it's not in your best interest, because the situation of we watched this TSA nonsense in this last month. And all kinds of other kinds of things that can happen. The only way it can be managed effectively is if you are managing it. The airline will respond to you. If David tickets your air, not to say he would do that, but if he ticketed your air, the airline's first answer, if you walk to the counter and said, my flight's been canceled, what am I going to do? The first thing they're going to say is, contact David Hopkins. So David Hopkins can do something about it. It's ridiculous. And it's just simply because our world has become what it is. Be in control of your own destiny on air. I know it's not traditionally what we've all talked about in our lives related to travel, but really given the environment of how the airlines have become, it's just the preventative measure where it'll be a better experience for you. At the end of the day, for me, if I was flying from Orlando to Copenhagen, I would be looking at my plan of, well, if I had a misconnection or there was a mechanical, what would happen to me? Would it be a problem for me if I was a day later? Or do I want to come in a day earlier or whatever it is? But if I came in a day earlier, for example, or I came in a couple of days early because I wanted to go to Zurich and then fly to Copenhagen, for me, the mechanical or the miss would be nothing. It would be like, okay, it's the way the world is. I'll adjust. My insurance pays for everything. All of my food, my hotel, my transfers. If I had to buy clothes because I didn't have luggage, it all pays for all of that to cover in. I'm not going to sweat it. But the most important thing is for you to be in control of your own transportation to Europe or Asia or wherever it is that you go.
So particular questions here about pre-arrival and post-arrival or post-departure in Paris, where if you travel to another country before you come back, because there's no direct flights between like Fort Lauderdale and Paris. So, I wanted to go to Amsterdam in order to get, a direct flight back. David could accommodate me to help me get the schedule down.
Recommendation.
I like I said, I wouldn't book your flights. I could help with suggestions on when to fly. I
Right.
could I could help you find hotels in Amsterdam and options there if you wanted to spend a couple days
Do we,
there.
do we reach out by email or?
Yeah, email, phone,
Okay.
whatever's most convenient. Because I have people who do that every trip. I have folks who are doing the southern Italy trip and are leaving. They're doing the extension to Florence and Venice, and then flying from Venice to Portland, England, to get on board a Princess cruise that will already be a day in progress. So I'm helping coordinate them with the Princess cruise, the change of
That's cool.
itinerary, and because they're coming back
Wow.
to the U.S. on a cruise instead of flying. So I can help you plan and coordinate that pretty easily.
One thing, two recommendations there. One recommendation is if I were you, John, I would do it by email with David, and then you're creating a record so there's no miscommunication from you and your request and David's answer. So I would do that. by email.
Yeah, I think that's.
The other thing is I do not know. It's been a minute since I've done this, but I flew Air France Miami to Paris. Make sure that you check that. They're in, I believe, the Delta group of Sky, but I believe you can fly to Paris nonstop. You should check that. David can help you.
Also, being in Fort Lauderdale, I can tell you, Fort Lauderdale and Miami are just like Orlando and Tampa for the folks in Central Florida. Tampa is great for domestic. Fort Lauderdale is great for domestic. Miami and Orlando are the international airports that will get you the better direct flights. So it's worth it to even, I'm in Fort Lauderdale. For me to take an Uber or the Brightline down to Miami Airport is frequently much cheaper than flying out of Fort Lauderdale, and I don't get as many layovers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't tell you how many times I have ridden Brightline, or not Brightline, how many times I've ridden Tri-Rail out of Fort Lauderdale to the Miami Airport, right? Directly to the terminal. It's great. $2 for Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, well, that sounds good. I was dreading driving down there and parking.
Yeah, no, don't do that. No, it's really simple. The Cypress Creek station or the Fort Lauderdale station, no change, and it literally it opens right into the Miami terminal.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Any other questions from anybody?
So we could go ahead and do the $99 deposit now and be ready to do the entire thing, but at least we'd have
your spot would be secured. Yes.
Secured.
Yeah, and that way we could get you your insurance in place and everything like that before you do the final payment. The insurance company I use, as long as you buy the insurance, basically within a couple days of your booking, they'll waive any pre-existing medical conditions if anything happens while you're traveling. It's one of the reasons I use RoamRight, because it doesn't matter how young or healthy you are, things happen. People trip and fall. People, eat something doesn't agree with them. So always have the insurance. Tony, you had another question?
Is this departure guaranteed? So if we deposit tomorrow, we can make our plane fare?
They normally, the travel club doesn't do that until the final payment. So that's when they advise you. I know already because they had asked me about this that the trip is basically a go because there is a significant number of passengers, but they don't do that announcement until final payment. I don't recommend, to be honest with you, I wouldn't purchase my air yet. And the reason I wouldn't purchase the air is while airfare is not tremendously expensive, it really hasn't dramatically changed. What they've done is they've changed baggage, and that's what's going on. The airfares are not changed, but the baggage has been had slight modification. We're waiting to see. A very good. I consider myself a very good traveler. I'm waiting to see what happens with the events that are going on east. Now, this trip is not affected in any possible way by what's going on. But I'm expecting that if there is an end to this, we're going to see a huge boom of marketing push. And one of the areas will be in air. I would sit. I think it's very wise to sit approximately 90 days prior to the departure from air. For me, I'm looking at air choices for August, but I'm not ticketing my air yet because I think we're going to see very good things, for the air. So
that's excellent advice. I didn't know how much lead time.
Oh yeah, no, 90 final payments at 120 days. I wouldn't do anything before the final payment. And then the travel club is going to advise you what the final is, which I expect it's final, that it's going to. And in general, where you're seriously looking at your air is 120 to 90 days prior. And when you get to 90 days, now you're going, I'm having a fare search at Google or Kayak or whoever, watching the airfare every day. You're putting in the parameters of what you want them to look for in terms of price, et cetera, notifying you an alert. But that really doesn't start till about 90 days.
Yeah, and what I was talking about is if you haven't used them, the website Kayak, which is Kayak, or Google Flights, which is built right into Google, you can tell it what flight you're looking for and set up email alerts, where if you have an Android phone and Google Gmail like I do, I use Google because it will give me a pop-up on my phone when the flights drop. So it'll be like, prices on this airline just dropped $200 below average. Do you want to book now? And it's seamless. And they'll search for you constantly and send you email updates. Both those websites will. Last time I flew to Athens, we had 2 people and it was $750 round trip with 2 bags per person because we got a price drop that hit on Google Flights for us. And we got that a month before departure. So I wouldn't panic.
Well, the reason I asked that is because, like JetBlue, for instance, it's $1,000 difference between the guaranteed or the non-guaranteed reservation. And to make a reservation this far out, you want to get your money back if something goes on. But if I waited, I could get $1,000 off of each way, and then have my travel insurance in effect.
And that's why I would recommend it. Wait and sit on it because you can get better deals closer because the prices fluctuate a lot. What's the old saying? Buying haste, repent leisure. And that's true with things that fluctuate like airlines. So yeah. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, I got a question.
Sure thing.
We're thinking about after taking other places after this one, and we'll take a little bit more luggage, I guess, with us. How much can you take on the bus?
So I would highly recommend, if you're traveling, try to keep it to one large suitcase and one smaller suitcase. That's anywhere you travel, especially international, because you're going to have fees on the airlines and they get quite excessive. What I do when I travel is I'll generally have there's laundry facilities available at a lot of the hotels. So, clean clothes aren't a problem. I generally have a smaller suitcase packed inside an empty, bigger suitcase. That way I have room for souvenirs. um, because I'm fine with, I don't care if the people I'm traveling with have seen me in the same clothes more than once. I'll wash stuff. I'm fine with that. Or I'll have the hotel do the laundry service for me, which is very convenient. You want to pack it as light as possible. And again, it's as much about what it's going to cost you to get that stuff home. I've seen baggage fees on international flights where you're paying easily $150 a bag to start with for checked bags. It's not worth the hassle of moving them and having them in your room and things like that, to be completely honest. Generally, if you can have a large bag with a smaller one, that's ideal.
Okay, then pre-nights and post-nights and the insurance, we can go through you for that?
Yeah, absolutely. The insurance we can base off of the cancellation amount. And if you decide to add stuff afterwards, the insurance company allows me to add additional coverage once the policy's in place.
Is
So
that just for the time we're in London, that London trip, or can we extend that?
I can extend the time the insurance covers you as well.
Okay.
So yeah, if you decide you want to travel through the Alps or something like that, I can extend the coverage time for your insurance. That way you're protected should anything happen at any point.
Sounds good.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Pleasure.
thank you.
And were there any other questions? All right, I'm going to end the meeting then. Thank you all for joining. If you want to watch it over again, the YouTube video is live. It's been broadcasting while we've been in here. So you'll be able to go back, review the itinerary, review the questions and answers. Again, if you think of anything, feel free to email us, text us, call us, however you'd like. And thank you so much.
Thank you.